Welcome to the AI Hub, a podcast for AI-driven side hustles designed for IT professionals like you.
From cutting-edge AI tools to practical, no-nonsense tips, each episode brings you closer to turning tech into income.
Tune in to discover smart and sustainable ways to boost your career and income with AI.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to AI Hub. I'm Larry.
I'm Amanda.
And we are so ready for today's deep dive. You guys sent us a ton of articles about this company, Deepseek.
Yeah, they're everywhere right now. It seems like they came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and everyone's trying to figure out, what's the deal with this company?
What are they up to?
So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to deep dive into all this stuff about Deepseek. So I guess the thing that really kicked it all off was their chatbot app, right?
Right. Yeah, it just blew up immediately topping the charts. And all of a sudden, everyone's talking about AI again. But here's the thing that's interesting. They're not from Silicon Valley.
Right.
Which you kind of expect with a tech company like this.
Yeah, I was reading about that. They came from a hedge fund, right? High Flyer Capital Management or something.
High Flyer Capital Management.
That's a weird place for an AI company to come from.
Right. A hedge fund. But it makes sense when you think about it because High Flyer was already using AI for their trading decisions and stuff. So they had this team that was super smart, working on AI stuff for a while, and then boom, they launched Deepseek.
So they kind of had a secret weapon this whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so interesting. But they've hit some roadblocks too, right? I was reading about the export bans.
Oh yeah, the U.S. export bans. Those have been a major hurdle for them, especially when it comes to hardware.
Yeah, the hardware is the thing. They can't get the top-of-the-line chips. They're stuck with, the NVIDIA H800s instead of the H100.
Exactly. And those H100s, those are the ones everyone wants. It's they're trying to run a marathon, but with, weights strapped to their ankles.
I can't even imagine.
Right. So these hardware limitations are a real problem for them, and it could really slow down their progress.
Yeah.
Especially when they're trying to develop new models.
So we've got this unusual origin story, and then they're dealing with all this hardware stuff.
Yeah.
But somehow they're still making a ton of progress.
Yeah.
One thing that really stood out to me was just who they're hiring.
Mm-hmm.
Their team is so different.
Yeah, they're really bucking the trend. They're super young, for one.
Yeah, really young.
And they're not just hiring the typical computer science grads.
Yeah. It's they've got philosophers, artists, all sorts of people.
Right. It's what are they doing over there? But I think it's actually a really smart strategy. By bringing in people from all these different backgrounds, they're ensuring that their AI is going to be exposed to a wider range of human perspective. That's huge for trying to avoid some of the bias problems that we've seen with other AI systems.
Yeah, the whole AI bias thing is such a big deal. So that's really interesting that they're thinking about that from the very beginning. Okay, so they've got this really interesting team, and they're obviously super smart. But let's talk about what they've actually made.
Right. Let's get into the models.
Because they've got a ton of them, right? Deepseek Coder, Deepseek LLM. It's a whole family of Deepseek stuff.
Yeah, Deepseek Chat. Don't forget Deepseek V2, V3, and R1.
R1.
That's their reasoning model. It's a pretty impressive lineup. I mean,
Yeah.
Deepseek V2 was the one that really kind of put them on the map, though.
Yeah, V2 was the one that everyone was talking about because it just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it was beating everyone else, and it was cheaper to use.
Yeah. It really shook things up. Companies like ByteDance and Alibaba were scrambling to keep up.
Why was V2 so good? What was their secret sauce?
Well, they claim it was all about efficiency. They said V2 was just leaner and meaner so it could get amazing results without all that expensive computing power. But to be honest, there is some skepticism in the AI community.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Some experts think Deepseek might be being a little secretive about how they actually achieved that level of efficiency.
So, a little mystery there.
Yeah, a little mystery is always good, right? Keeps things interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And then, on top of all that, they drop R1, this reasoning model. This is where things get really wild because R1 can actually, fact check itself.
Right.
That's crazy to me.
It's incredible. Think about it, the accuracy and the reliability implications. This could be huge.
Yeah, but I gotta ask, back up for a second. What is a reasoning model? That sounds like straight out of Star Trek.
Yeah, it does sound pretty sci-fi. So think of it this way. Most AI models are kind of like super fast calculators. They can crunch a ton of data and spit out an answer, but they don't actually understand what they're doing. Reasoning models are different. They actually think through problems step by step.
like a person would.
Exactly, like a human would. It takes longer, but it makes them much more reliable, especially in specific fields like science or math.
So R1 could be like your brainy research assistant.
Exactly. And the fact that it can fact-check itself is a major step forward. It means it can catch its own mistakes and correct them.
So it's like super smart and also knows when it's wrong. Okay, but there's this one thing that I keep thinking about, and it's like this big elephant in the room. Deepseek is in China, right?
Right.
And China has all those internet regulations and stuff.
Right, and that's a huge factor.
How does that affect what their AI can even do?
That's a really good question, and it raises all sorts of ethical and geopolitical issues that, honestly, we don't have time to fully unpack today, but it's something that everyone's grappling with. These AI models are incredibly powerful, so the idea that they might be censored or manipulated, it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's definitely something to think about. It's wild to think about all this, right? DeepSeek's got this incredible tech, but they're operating under these strict regulations.
Right. It's like a constant balancing act for them. But the thing is, their technology is so good that people are willing to work around those limitations.
It's true. Like, you'd think those internet regulations would be a deal breaker, but developers are still flocking to their platform.
It's a testament to the quality and potential people see in Deepseek's models. I mean, over 500 derivative models have been created just from R1 on Hugging Face alone.
500.
500. That's a lot of people taking their tech and running with it.
It's insane. It makes you wonder, like, what they could do if they weren't held back by those regulations.
Right. Like, what if they had full access to the best hardware, no restrictions?
The possibilities are kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's exciting and honestly a little bit scary to think about.
Speaking of scary, their success has definitely ruffled some feathers in the industry. Like, NVIDIA's stock price took a hit.
Oh, yeah. And even Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, he felt the need to respond publicly. Like, Deepseek is really shaking things up.
It's like they threw a bomb into the AI world.
A bomb, exactly. They're not just playing the game, they're changing the rules.
Yeah.
And the big players, they're definitely taking notice.
So how are companies and governments actually reacting to this new player on the scene? Are they embracing them, trying to shut them down, or just watching from the sidelines?
It's a mixed bag, really. Some companies like Microsoft, they're diving right in, integrating DeepSeek's models into their platforms.
Makes sense. Microsoft has always been pretty forward-thinking with AI. They were early adopters of OpenAI stuff too, right?
Exactly. They're seeing the potential for collaboration and advancement, pushing the field forward.
But I'm sure not everyone is thrilled about DeepSeek's success.
You're right. Some are more cautious. Some companies and even governments have gone so far as to ban DeepSeek completely.
Really?
Yeah, they're citing concerns about data security, intellectual property, the potential for misuse. It's understandable though, right?
It's a powerful new technology. There's always that fear of the unknown.
Exactly. It all comes back to those ethical and geopolitical questions we talked about earlier. It's not just about the tech anymore. It's about who controls it and what they do with it.
So it's not just about cool AI assistants that can write your emails. It's about potential job losses, bias, and algorithms, the whole picture.
Exactly. It's a complex landscape. We need to think deeply about the impact of this technology on society as a whole.
I know we've touched on those concerns already, but I think it's worth reiterating.
Yeah.
We need to be having these conversations about the ethical implications of AI.
Right. We can't just be swept up by all the hype and ignore the potential downsides. We have to be proactive, not reactive.
It feels like we're at a crossroads. This incredible technology has so much potential to revolutionize our world, but are we ready for it?
It's a powerful question, and the answer is we need to be. We have to shape the future of AI, not let it shape us.
DeepSeek's rise is a wake-up call. The future is arriving faster than we think.
It's a call to action for all of us to be informed, to engage in these crucial conversations, to ensure AI is used responsibly.
Well said. This has been a whirlwind. We started trying to figure out who DeepSeek is, and we've ended up talking about the future of humanity.
DeepSeek is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. It's a puzzle we're all figuring out together.
I mean, it's crazy how fast things are changing. It feels like just yesterday, AI was this like niche thing, and now it's like everywhere you look.
I know, right? Like it went from science fiction to the front page in like, blink. And DeepSeek, they're right there at the heart of it all, pushing things forward.
Yeah, they're definitely shaking things up. It's like they're making everyone rethink the whole game.
Totally. Governments are trying to figure out how to regulate it all. Companies are scrambling to add AI to all their products. It's a lot to keep up with.
Yeah, and it's not just about the tech itself anymore.
Right. We got to think about the bigger picture. Like, what does this mean for society? What about jobs? What about bias?
Yeah, all those ethical questions. That's where it gets really complicated.
Exactly. And Deepseek is just one part of this huge, evolving story.
Yeah, we've been focusing on them, but they're just one piece of this much bigger AI puzzle.
And the crazy part is we're still just figuring out what the puzzle even looks like. Like, it's changing as we go.
But we can't just ignore it. We've got to talk about it. We got to figure out how to make sure AI is a good thing.
Exactly. We have to be responsible. We need to think about transparency, accountability, fairness, all that stuff.
Make sure AI benefits everyone, not just a select few.
Right. And we got to be on the lookout for ways it could be misused, too. I mean, this is powerful technology.
It's like we're at this fork in the road. AI could be amazing, but it could also go really wrong. We got to make sure we're steering it in the right direction.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's a huge challenge, but also a huge opportunity. It's up to all of us to shape how this plays out.
So for everyone listening out there who's like, whoa, this is a lot, what can they do? How can they stay in the loop and be part of this conversation?
I mean, first of all, stay curious. Keep learning about AI. There's so much info out there, articles, podcasts, courses. Engage with it all critically.
Yeah, don't just take everything at face value. Form your own opinions.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to share them. Talk about it, debate it, help shape the narrative around AI.
Yeah, the more voices we have in this conversation, the better.
We need everyone's perspective to make sure AI is used for good. For everyone.
This has been a wild ride. We started trying to figure out Deepseek, and we ended up talking about the fate of the world, basically.
Well, Deepseek is kind of a microcosm of everything happening in AI right now. It's all connected.
Deepseek's rise is a wake-up call for all of us. AI is here, it's changing everything, and we need to be ready for it. If you want to keep up with all this stuff, make sure you subscribe to AI Hub. We'll keep you updated on all the latest developments and help you make sense of it all. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone.
Welcome to the AI Hub, a podcast for AI-driven side hustles designed for IT professionals like you.
From cutting-edge AI tools to practical, no-nonsense tips, each episode brings you closer to turning tech into income.
Tune in to discover smart and sustainable ways to boost your career and income with AI.